Hey, all right. So today's Saturday. Yesterday, Friday, we had a problem with the furnace. Everything started vibrating. The whole furnace started vibrating. I have some cables hung up there, the water filter from the air inlets, and everything was shaking. All right. Quickly pull it apart. I thought maybe got water in the inducer or something. Nope. It turned out, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll confirm that in a little while, that the bearing in the blower motor went because the whole blower on the unit was shaking, and I could actually go in there with my hand and move the blower itself, shake it. So I presume the front bearing on the motor is gone, and so obviously game over with the furnace. Great. Called around in a hurry. The people we bought it from were no longer distributors. They only have parts for it. I called up a place that does have parts for it. We won't sell them to you. What do you mean won't sell them to me? Oh, I'm sorry, you have to be a gas fitter and have a license to. It's an electric motor. It's the blower. I'm not touching the gas stuff. Nope, tough luck. Great. So it's Friday afternoon. I even called a couple of HVAC places, and they don't have them in stock. They would buy from them anyhow. And by Friday afternoon, they're not going to get a chance to get parts. So, good luck. Today's a nice day. Tomorrow's going to be 40 degrees outside for a high. I need to get this fixed. I didn't think I was going to. I called a company, or found them online. Marie and I did. Supply House. They said they could have them by Monday here, and I thought that was exciting because they had to ship them in. And I go, God, that's, and it's even free shipping on the unit. I called them up, said, can you ship it overnight, see if I could get it. I was willing to pay the shipping. They couldn't get it on a Saturday delivery. They said, okay. Ordered it anyhow, $300 motor, which is half the price of everybody else local anyhow, I'm sure. Couldn't believe it though. I got a notice last night. Shipped. Gonna be here today. I checked it all day. It's before 3 o'clock. It came in. Oh, thank you, Supply House. Thank you, UPS. I am going to open it up now, and I'll see if it's the correct one. Cross your fingers. I did get all the numbers. They were very helpful at Supply House. They gave me the part number. I already had what I thought was the right one from another supplier, but they did confirm it for me with the serial number, everything in the unit. And if I got the right one, we are in business. So I will get back to you guys in a couple minutes. Bye-bye. All right, got the box open. Sure enough, that's the correct part number. It's got Johnson Controls, this is a York. Johnson Controls makes a lot of units for a lot of people. And they own a lot of companies just under different brand names. So that seems to be the right one. So I will open it up and confirm it. And then I will start to pull these covers off. The two covers come off, top and bottom, just by those small little wing, not really wing nuts, they're just little thumb screws if you want to pull to the side and then open. So, all right, I'll get back to you again shortly. All right, covers are off. So, just to point out the major points, burners are up in there. All right, and the blower, this is the inducer. That's for the blower for the sucking air. I gotta remember now. I don't work on furnaces very often. I believe that's the exhaust, if I remember. So it actually sucks the air back through the secondary setup. It's a closed system. It actually brings air in. God, I gotta remember. I think it brings air in through this tube down into the combustion chamber. And if I remember, it actually blows it back out through here. Could be the other way around though, but I think that's how it works. Not that's important. I'm pretty sure. And you can see I have had some little issues once in a while with water dripping out of it. That's what I remember. That's the exhaust side because it actually has moisture from the burners that drops down into it. Yeah, and there's a flow up through it, so that would be the exhaust going up. Anyhow, not that matters right now, but I have had a little minor issue. That's the only issue I had, touch wood, for this furnace so far. But now, below here, there is the main blower. That's what actually sucks air in from the returns of your house. It comes in, there's an air filter goes here. I've already removed it. And this blows air up through the exchangers, the heaters those burners, if you will, don't actually touch the air. They actually heat up an exchanger, and that's what touches the air. So they're separated, if you will. But there's a blower. And the motor for the blower is back in there. You have to remove the whole thing. So I'm gonna have to disconnect the wires from the control board. And I did turn the power off. There's my breaker panel, so I've got the power off there, and I have a switch on the side. I've turned that off. So I'll take off the panel, and this whole unit should slide out. There is channels on each side to let it slide out on. And the screw, there's just one screw that should be able to take out each side, and this whole unit should slide out and give me access to that blower motor. So, all right, guys, and I have actually taken pictures of all these wires so I remember where they go back together, because I got to put them all back on after. So I did that before I started. All right, guys, see you shortly. All right, just to show you, I took out the two screws that held these two corners I showed you, and it does all slide out. The whole unit slides out. The control board and the blower, everything comes out one shot. So my thinking, I have two choices here. I can take all the wires off the board, and the wires off the transformer, and the wires off the control, which is fine, but I hate taking off wires just because sometimes you have little issues. So I'm wondering if it might be easier or behoove me to just take out the two little screws on each side that hold the panel and just take this whole panel off, and then I can just put the whole thing back on, and then I don't have to worry about disconnecting anything, and there's less chance of breaking a connector or anything, because you know, you hope you don't, and you're pulling and pushing out a board and the board flexes a little bit, and it's 10, 12 years old, and you just don't want to do more damage than good. So I think I'll go that route. All right, guys, there is the blower. That's the motor down there, and you can kind of see, and I can feel it. You know, hear it moving in there, so I'm hoping that is the problem. And I'll know for sure as soon as I get it out, but 99% sure that's going to be it. All right, guys, see you shortly. All right, so blower is out, and it slid out just as I said. And you can see I just hung all those controls, the whole board, just on a little bungee around the corner where the blower goes. And there's the motor that we have to change. And the reason I believed it was bad, and I still do, is if you can see when I wiggle this, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is wiggle room in that. The motor is actually, the bearing, the front bearing is actually moving in there, and I probably can't show you this. Maybe there you can see a bit. It should be tight, and it's moving. So I believe that is the culprit. And if nobody's ever seen inside of a furnace, let's see, because I've actually never looked inside of a high efficiency one. This will be a first for me too. Let's see what's up here. Should be the exchangers in there. There you go. Look at that. That is your heat exchanger. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's where your air is blowing through. And like I said, that is actually not the actual flame. For anybody who thinks the flame actually heats your air, it doesn't. The air is actually heated by going around, if you will, an envelope that the flame's inside of. And that way the two may never touch and be part of each other. So anyhow, let me start taking this one all apart now. See where we go. If I'm right, there's just two bolts holding that motor in on the side. There are right there. And the blower itself, there should be two screws holding the blower on the shaft. So we'll take this apart and see where it all goes. All right, guys, just a little side note here. If anybody's trying this themselves, I think this can be done by people. This is not a rocket science job. It's time consuming, and you got to be careful with it. But there is little things you got to pay attention to. Like, this is a starting capacitor. I honestly don't know if on the starting capacitor, if it matters which way the wires go. But I'm sure as heck going to put them back in the same way they came off. You know, there's a brown one and a brown one with a stripe. I don't think it matters on these things because they're not, if I remember, electrolytics. They're just a regular capacitor, but I'm sure not going to try. There's also a little ground lead on here that goes to the motor. Has to be taken off underneath the capacitor. So, you know, just little details like that, be sure that you pay attention to it. One thing that I'm always surprised at, I never ever have run this furnace without a filter. And I actually run real good filters. I'll show you them later. They're high efficiency filters. And yet still, look how much dirt collects on a motor after all those years. A lot? Yeah, we're not talking, you know, quarter inch of dirt, but that's a lot still for having considered you. We gotta have a filter on it, so. All right, guys, back to work. All right, we are out. And that's the blower still in there. You can see it can now be lifted out this way. They wouldn't out through the top because they wouldn't put it in any other way. You have to pull these out, but anyhow, doesn't need to come out. You need to line it up, put it back in, but doesn't need to come out. Motor, obviously. And here's what I thought. If you guys can see, you can hear it if you can't do anything else, but you can kind of see it. It is rattling in there. That should be tight. That should be a nice free spinning, and it is not. That front bearing is gone. And that's actually, quick 10-second history lesson, and we'll keep you guys all day with this one, but they used to never make blowers like this. In the day, there were two bearings on the outside of the blower and a shaft, and they had a belt in it, and the belt would drive from the motor. That gave a good secure on the blower itself. And you could replace the bearings, but you did have to oil them. I remember going with my dad and oiling them once a year. We would check the belt once a year in your furnace. Okay, they got away from that. It's a lot less maintenance. I admit this lasted 10 years and you didn't have to touch it. But by putting all that stress on that shaft on that motor, that front bearing's taking a hell of a load. And even though they try to get it to a minimum, because if you see where the shaft actually goes to, it's dead center of the blower. So they really try to eliminate any side loading, but you still are taking a lot more loading because all of that blower is supported by that shaft, and the front bearing is probably taking a lot of load. And that's why it went. So, but again, they made it relatively simple to fix, so I can't fault them for that. But all right, let me dig out the new motor. Get my vacuum cleaner because I do like to clean this up. I'll vacuum out the exchanger also, since I got it all apart, and then we'll look at putting it back together. All right, well it wasn't hard. It was a little frustrating, but not hard, because you had to guess where the motor went, how deep. And I tried to leave it just a little longer because it's right at the end of those supports. But if you leave it any longer, any further sticking out, then the other end, which is down there, barely catches the fan itself, the blower itself. And you have to make sure that's correct, because you have to center the blower in the housing, because that gap on that side should be approximately the same as that gap on that side. So just if I went any further, then pushing the fan out, and if I push the fan out, then it's not centered. But it's just a little playing, not hard, little playing. Then I guess how tight to put the screws. It's really not a good system to hold the motor in. And I say that relatively, it's a clamp. All right, who cares? But if you kind of look at it, I don't know if you can see, it literally just pulled around like that, and it was already bent like that when I took it off. It's not a nice two plates pulling tight. They just bend two pieces of metal, and the screws pull the plate in, which pulls the ring all around the motor. That's fine, but it just would have been nice if they had a little nicer clamping system. You don't bend the plates of metal when you tighten it, and that's the way it was from the factory. So, it's worked for all these years, so be it. But it's just not a nice system. But all right, so now I've vacuumed it, cleaned it, motor's in, time to push it back together. So I will push it back in place. I also cleaned the best I could all the fan. I got a little paintbrush in there, you can see, and tried to clean it and dust it. And you gotta be careful with these, by the way. There are weights on these. In fact, I can see one right down there. These are balanced, so they don't kill the motor. And I didn't want to move those weights, obviously, so I tried to be careful not to knock anything off and do anything else. So just little detail, things you just gotta be careful of. But in general, not a terrible job, so we'll push it back in and see how it goes. All right, well, I slid it back in and put a couple wires back on. I have my drawings that I made to make sure that there's no question. I put the wires back in the right spot, plus my picture that I've been taking. I tried to tie up the wires a bit so they don't dangle, because those are some sharp edges back here and I don't want the wires to hit them. So I tried to nicely tie them with wire ties up. I think it's all back together. We should give it a try now. We'll have to see. Green light's a good sign, I guess. And my controller came back to life, so we're good there. Like I said, I did turn off the breaker, obviously, and I do have a switch on the side of the machine to make sure it turns on. There is a safety switch on here. You're not supposed to run these with the doors open, so you have to bypass the safety switch. That's what the green tape is. And I can watch the motor and make sure it runs with no problem. All right, so let me go turn on one of the thermostats and see if we're successful or not. All right, turned on the unit. Let's see, that's the blower turning on for the heat. Working. That is as quiet as ever has been. A little more vibration. The whole unit's not vibrating. And we must have done something right. Nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. Feel it. And I think we're in good shape. Okay, so she's been running for about 15 minutes now. Perfect? No, there's nothing perfect in life. I mean, I can see probably why the original motor didn't last forever, because I can see there's a little bit of vibration in the, what you call it, fan itself. Again, it depends on how good they balance it, what their tolerances are. Go the Monday or Friday, who knows? But it really, you see the motor's not moving, nothing's shaking. Unit's good, still going along fine, humming away. So, should have said if anybody's going to try this too. When I was pushing the motor back in, I actually had to get a little piece of metal, ended up using a putty knife to help slide it in, because it actually, the more it pushes tight against that top, they try to seal it a little bit so you get a lot of air. Other than that, like I said, I lined up all the holes, everything was good. I'll shut her down, put all the covers back on, and give it one more try and button it up. But for, you know, the price of just a motor, you know, 2 service calls, and God knows what they're going to charge me for those. Once we diagnose the problem, wanted to get the motor and come back out here with it. And then if it was a weekend, if they could even get the motor, because they didn't have them in stock, and we had to wait till they opened up the supplier on Monday again, so no faster. It wasn't slower by 2 days. So, you know, all in all, for having never done this before, it's not a bad job. All right, guys, take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Alright, just some final thoughts. It's up, it's running, we got heat, and it's dropping down the temperature already outside, so it's just good timing. I can't say enough about Supply House. They were awesome. I mean, one day getting a motor, that's incredible. Like I said, the guys in town did have them, but they wouldn't sell them to me, and when I called the repair guys out, what you call it, they wanted to come out here first and then look at it, and then they would go get the thing, and they couldn't get it then until Monday because they're closed to the supplier on the weekend. We still would have waited for you. And UPS did a great job of getting it to me. I'm impressed. It was in good shape, and they got it quickly. They delivered on a Saturday, so hats off to them. Happy with it. Good job. You know, I don't know, 2-hour job, maybe 2.5, something like that. I think most people could probably handle it if you are mechanically inclined and you work on cars all the time and you do some electrical and that. It's just a matter of being careful and watching what you do and being kind of taking little notes in that where everything goes and how it comes apart. But again, you know, price-wise, I'm betting I saved about $900 doing that myself, and that's a big chunk of money because the motor I think I would have paid about $400 extra for. The first time out for the repair guy I think is $250, and then he would have taken another maybe 2 hours after he brought the part out to do it, so you're looking at another, you know, $250. So 5 there, so about 9 total I saved. So anyhow, just last thoughts on the furnace. We got heat, we're happy. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.